Use me tonight for your glory, God. Oh, God, move me out the way, God. And God, have your way in this service tonight. We know that God died. Jesus died for our forgiveness. And that he was a willing participant. And we know that those that killed him was in most and more of a sinful place. And more of a shameful place.
Yes, come on.
And more of a guilty place than he was. But yet he reached out to his Father. And he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And a lot of times we find ourselves in that situation. If you bear with me a little bit. Sometimes people make us so angry. And they'll make us so mad that we begin to lose ourselves. We begin to lose ourselves in our frustration. We begin to lose ourselves in our anger. We begin to lose ourselves in not understanding where we at. But then when the Spirit of God come into our heart,
Yes, Lord.
we begin to find ourselves in a good place with God. Because he began to say, stop. And when you begin to listen, you see, because when Paul was on the road to Damascus, you know, his job was to go around and kill people. He didn't care nothing about nobody.
Hallelujah.
His role was to kill Christians, to destroy Christians. He didn't understand the things that was right. And he didn't understand the things that was true. He only understood the things that he was told to do. Sometimes we find ourselves in that situation. We begin to look at what somebody tell us to do and how somebody tell us to do it. Not saying whether it's right and not saying whether it's wrong. But we begin to seek God in the midst of it. God, what would you do? God, what would you say? God, how would you handle it?
Hallelujah.
But yet, we want them to forgive us. Yet, we want that person who we offended to forgive us. But we are above us saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I apologize. You see, because that's what Paul did. He went by, he didn't have no arms about saying I'm sorry. He didn't have no quick quote about saying I did wrong.
All right.
Only thing he wanted to do was get rid of something that they said was no good.
Amen.
He was trying to get rid of one of the best things in life.
Glory.
The Christian life.
Jesus.
And that's what they did for our Savior. You see, one thing about him, even though they did it wrong, even though they talked down to him, even though they mistreated him, even though they spit in his face, even though they put him down to a bad level, he loved them in spite of. And he didn't have a mean or error word to say out of turn to them. He still spoke love. He still spoke kindness. He still spoke justice. Even on his dying day. Even on his dying day. He reached back and said, Father, forgive them. You see, because he didn't die for his sin. He died for our sin. He was a man that was uncorrupt. He was a man that was without sin. He didn't have to repent. He didn't have to apologize for nothing because he came here to do his Father's will. And his Father's will was to save you and me.
Amen. Hallelujah.
To die for you and me.
Oh, yes.
It was all about you and me. It had nothing to do with him. It was all about
That's it.
you and me.
My God. Yes.
It was all about our errors in life. You see, because he didn't just die for the people for that day and that time.
Come on, Pastor.
He died from generation to generation
Oh,
to
yes.
generation
Come
to
on.
generation, that we all may be covered
Yes.
in his blood.
Amen.
Some of us are guilty of murder.
Amen.
Some of us are guilty of fornication.
Amen.
Some of us are guilty of lying.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Some of us are guilty of disobedience.
Amen.
Some of us are guilty of adultery.
Yes.
He died for you and me.
My, thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank
That
you.
one day, if we come to that point of repentance, you see, you got to make that step in order to receive that forgiveness. You got to make that move. It just don't happen like that. You got to make that move. You got to fall down on your knees and say, Lord, have mercy on me.
Ooh, glory.
You got to fall down and say, God, forgive me. For I know I'm a sinner.
Ooh, glory. Hallelujah.
I know where I come from.
Yes, Lord.
I know the things I've done. And Lord, I was born in sin. I was shapen in iniquity.
Hallelujah.
But God, because of your son,
Yes, Lord. Thank you,
if I could
Lord.
just call on his
Oh,
name,
God. Thank you.
I know
Yes, Lord.
if I be faithful
Yes, Lord.
in my doing, if I hold fast to his word, if I stand strong in his will,
Thank you, Jesus.
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt
Yes, Lord.
that he'll come to my rescue,
Thank you.
because I put my cross
Thank you.
upon the cross. I bear my cross with you today, Jesus, because I need you to know what kind of person I am.
Come on now.
I'm not a perfect being.
Ooh, glory.
I'm not perfect in no
Thank you,
manner, no way, no shape or form. But God, I'm a sinner today,
Yes, Lord.
standing before you, God, in need of rescue.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
God,
Hallelujah.
I know that your child died for me.
Oh, Father.
You see, and I come to confess my sin, God, because your child died for me.
Yes.
And if you go to 2 Samuel said, David's servant asked him, why are you doing this? When the baby was alive, you cried and refused to eat. But when the baby died, you got up and ate food. David said, while the baby was still living, I cried and refused to eat because I thought, who knows, maybe the Lord will feel sorry. And we find ourselves in that situation. When we find ourselves when we're in such sin, not being apologetic,
Amen.
truthfully.
Yes.
We feel like we can fall down on our knees and we say, Lord, have mercy, please, and God will feel sorry for us. But God knows the hearts of man.
That's it.
He knows the heart and he knows the mind of man. So in other words, when you go before God, you got to go before God with a pure heart. A pure heart. That means you honor yourself to the lowest point that you can go, and you surrender all. Because God knows what dwells in the hearts of man. He was able to move past it. I will teach you the guilty how you want them to live. And the sinner was, will come back to you. God spared me from punishment of death. My God.
Thank you, Lord.
David said, my God, spared me from the punishment of death.
Yes,
And
Lord.
not only did he save David, he's doing it right now today.
Amen.
Right now today,
Oh, yes.
we are doing sinful things before God.
Amen.
I remember when I was in the world, and I thought I wasn't such a bad person. But I was a cursor. A bad cursor.
Oh, help me, Holy Ghost.
And when I got angry, I
There
said
you
some
go.
stuff.
There you go. Thank you, Lord.
And the person made me so angry that I cursed so bad
Hallelujah.
When I looked up toward heaven, it looked like he was looking down, frowning on me.
Jesus.
And I said, Lord, have mercy on me. And that day, it turned me around.
Thank you.
I started using other words besides those words. Because anger can put you in a bad place.
Amen. Amen.
Anger can make you say some stuff.
Yes.
But I made myself shame.
Oh,
I was so ashamed to,
you in the
I
house.
saw God shining down
You
on
in
me,
the house.
looking
Hallelujah.
at me.
Thank you, Holy Ghost.
And
in
I
the
said,
house.
God, forgive me.
Oh, Jesus, please forgive me.
Forgive me. We find ourselves in some difficult situations.
My.
And we find ourselves in some bad places. But we got to realize God's eyes is on us at all times. Not sometimes. Even when you're in your secret place, his eyes is still on you. Even when you think nobody don't see you, his eyes still on you. He's ever watching us. You know, and I thank God for watching over me. Because, you know, I got in a bad place. I got in a bad place where my mind had kind of slipped a little bit. And sometimes I get angry. I couldn't control my temper. And I do some stuff.
My Lord, you in the house.
And I tell you,
Jesus.
I was in my car and I saw my husband in a bad situation. And how I got through the alley with my car, I can't explain it.
My.
But the devil know how to maneuver you.
Yes, he does.
He know how to take you around stuff.
Yes.
But how I did it, everybody went to going everywhere.
Come on.
But I could have killed somebody.
Yes.
I could have killed somebody.
My God.
Anger make you do some bad stuff.
Yes, sir.
Anger put you in a bad place. But God saw fit enough to forgive me.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
And when I came to that point where I know that I needed God in my life, and I needed God to make that change in my life, I didn't go to church to do it. I turned myself to the wall. You see, because I read in the Bible where Hezekiah turned his face to the wall.
Yes, yes.
And I turned my face to the wall and I began to talk to God about it. But the Spirit of the Lord told me, say, you stay there. You stay right there until it's all gone. And I think I was there all day. Because see, like when I thought I pulled it all out, I had some more in there. And when I thought I got rid of that, there was some more in there. And then when it got there, it was still some more in there. And you know, it's the little bitty things.
Yes, come on, them little
We're not
foxes.
going about these big old stuff
All right,
that we
them
do.
foxes.
It's the little bitty
Come on
stuff
now.
Come on.
All
that
right.
we hold on to,
That's it.
that we think is not that
All right,
important.
come on, Holy Ghost.
We begin to hold on to it
Come on, Holy
because
Ghost.
it's not that important. But to God, even the little things
Yes.
are important.
To God.
So I began to sit there. You see, because the thing kept going through my head. You got to reap what you sow.
Oh, Jesus. Help me, Holy Ghost.
You ain't fooling God.
All right.
You ain't fooling nobody but yourself. You got to reap what you sow.
Jesus.
You plant the harvest, you got to reap the harvest.
Glory.
So I began to talk to God in that spiritual realm. Because, you know, I desire eternal life. So I began to repent. And everything that I can think of, every decision that I made, every thought that I thought, you know how we think about people.
Yes.
You begin to think evil
Amen.
about people.
Amen. Amen.
And you begin to think how you will handle it, what you will say to them and what you will do to them. I was that kind of person.
Jesus.
And sometimes I acted on that.
My Lord.
I did. I didn't just sit down and think about those things. Sometimes I acted on those
My
things.
God.
Come on.
Hallelujah.
But I had to lay that out before God. I had to lay all my wrongs out before God.
Amen.
And I had to ask him to have mercy on me. So God, I'm asking you today, don't stop working on me.
Woo, glory.
Because God is still some